Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley, Notre Dame Stadium, home finale for the Irish seniors. There's a bunch of them today, fifth-year seniors and COVID cases, etc. Notre Dame will attempt to move to 10-1 on the season. And Tim, there's some talk going around about green jerseys today. That might make sense. You know, maybe you should just do that for Senior Day every year. I don't know as of right now when we're recording this. I'm not sure that's valid or not, but there's some talk of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think players like it, so that's usually what matters these days. You and I were talking in the walkout here. We think of green jerseys as a big game, motivational tool. I think if players want to wear green jerseys once in their careers or once a year, and they didn't get to do it for the Shamrock Series, it's fine with me. That's the least of their worries going into the playoff push right now.
Certainly. Senior Day here, in the last couple years, Notre Dame ended up, pretty much blowing out Syracuse and Boston College. But it wasn't going that way the whole day. They were struggling in the middle of the second quarter. If you remember, Syracuse, Notre Dame scored 3 touchdowns late in the first half to pull away. And if you go back to 2017, Notre Dame was losing to Navy in the third quarter.
The Navy one's a little different, I think, because they were just down as a program. They had just lost to Miami. The playoffs were out of reach. I think that was a bad week of practice. The last two, I think we made a good point in the podcast, or Pete Sampson brought it up on our podcast, that hey, they don't start great this year all the time, but they still find a way to pull away, and I think that's what happened against Georgia Tech today. I don't expect Notre Dame to come out and go up 17-0 in the first 10 minutes. Do you? I just think that's not really the way the team is built. I don't think there's a Senior Day curse. The old curse was they used to play Penn State, Tennessee, and Boston College. That was the Senior Day curse.
Right. Yeah. Georgia Tech has its own problems, obviously 3-7. Once again, we're not sure who's going to play quarterback for Georgia Tech. Jeff Sims was hurt last week. Jordan Yates is a much more capable and established quarterback than what Virginia had to turn to last week.
Yes, but most are. But they can run their offense. I mean, he had 80 yards rushing, I think, on 4 or 5 carries last week, had a 20-yard run. Now, Sims is one of the top 10 running quarterbacks in the country, so they would be missing something there. You and I were really high on Sims coming into the year. Obviously, he's been inconsistent this year. I read recently that he's having trouble planting and throwing, and that makes a lot of sense with an undisclosed injury while you're wearing a boot. So I would assume it's going to be Yates. But really, it's Jahmyr Gibbs that Notre Dame has to put its focus on.
Jahmyr Gibbs is who I was going to mention next. I really love watching him play. I think he's an outstanding NFL candidate. He's only in his second year. Because of last year, he's still in his first year of eligibility, so to speak. But that'll be the challenge for Notre Dame. He had the 5 straight games of a 50-yard play or more, which was ended last week against Boston College, but he still rushed for 96 yards. The best player, without a doubt, for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and the best running back they faced probably. It's been a Notre Dame year of wide receivers. Top wide receivers have been the opponents. I think Gibbs is the best running back they have faced and will face. He might be the second best running back on the field, however, with Kyron Williams. And I think it's relevant. Georgia Tech's 3 starting linebackers have combined, according to Pro Football Focus, for 39 missed tackles. Notre Dame's 3 starting linebackers have combined for 17, including a 0 spot by Jack Kaiser still. Kyron Williams makes you miss. They miss tackles. I think that is going to be the key, getting Gibbs down and them not getting Kyron Williams down.
The problem for Georgia Tech today, of course, is on the defensive side of the football. They're poor in virtually every aspect. They're really worse in more aspects than Virginia defense was last week. So we'll see if Notre Dame can move to 10-1 here on Senior Day in Notre Dame Stadium when they take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.